Hello everyone, Justin here, and today we're going to do something a little bit different and draw some letters. Today specifically we're going to try drawing the letter S, which I feel is one of the more difficult ones to draw. Practicing letters is a good way of practicing your drawing skills, and if you look at a lot of letters, they're all based on certain shapes. So let's look at an S. An S to me consists of two ovals or circles, one on top of the other. So let's draw an oval and then a secondary oval that overlaps, usually slightly bigger. So now when we look at this S, this will be the outer part of the outer line of the upper section. We can darken that a little bit. And then this part here, the lower, this will be the outer section. Let's darken that a little bit as well. So now, to make this elegant and look nice, what happens here is that this is the thickest part as it goes across the middle. And then it narrows down to this upper section or lower section to a narrower section right here. So let's just make this part a little bit darker. Just a parallel line, kind of like the upper right, and down here, the lower left. So now what we need to do is connect this line with this. So it's not going to follow this exactly because it's going to get wider. So what you want to do is you want to try to kind of experiment a little bit and draw a nice even curve so that you don't have any sharp angles or flat areas, but a nice curve that follows and flows right into this line here. And the same thing here. So you want to, let's start from the middle and start heading towards your target down here with a nice curve. Okay, just like that. So now you can, the way to finish the ends here, you can either add a serif, which is a section that's at the ends of the letters usually. So with this S, let's just make it plain sans serif, meaning no serif, and just make it square. And here as well, let's just make that square. And there's your S. So let's do another one right here, except this one we'll make the oval not as flat. Again, we're going to overlap with the lower one a little bit larger than the upper. Okay, so again, we'll darken the outer upper left section to here, and then the lower right of the bottom oval. Okay, just as before, we'll kind of draw a line here to show how thin it's going to be, and you can make this as thin or as thick as you want, but generally it shouldn't be too far off from this thickness. You don't want it to be super thin. Okay, and then we'll do it down here as well. Okay, and let's connect those two with a nice curve. And the way I picture this is I just look at this line and this line and try to make a nice curve right here. You don't even have to really pay attention to this part as you draw this. Okay, and then again here. So now if you look at this, here's the thin section, and it just gradually gets bigger until you get to the middle. Here it gradually gets thinner. Okay, so now let's add a serif. So let's say our line was up here, our reference line where we would lines that determine the height of the letter. So we could continue this upper line straight and then say, let's just draw an angled line down and then square it off. So now what we can do is follow this line smoothly. Again, keep that curve nice and smooth to meet that serif, and there's your S. And we'll do the same down here. Here we'll go ahead and draw this diagonal line first, and you can make this as high as you want. We could make it up to here if you want, but let's just make it this high, square it off, and again we're gonna meet with the curve, keeping this curve nice and smooth, no sharp turns, angles, or anything like that, and just flatten this part out. There's a million variations on drawing this S or any alphabet, but let's just do one more here. Let's draw another S. Okay, and we'll change the look of the serif. Here's an oval, and let's draw another oval. To me, it's generally more pleasing, but it depends on the font that you're looking to draw or copy, or you could just make up your own. But generally, the lower part will be a little bit wider than the upper, just to give it a little bit more weight. So I went ahead and drew this S. So I basically drew this just like this one right here, except if you look at the serif, you can see that I put a notch here back to the reference line here, and then angled the serif. Now look at this end as well. I kind of angled it as opposed to making it square like here or here, and I did the same thing here. If you look at, for example, the S of Superman's S, let's just do it real quick here. Kind of goes like this. You've got this outline, and the way his S is, it goes like this, something like that. That's kind of off there. Okay, so let's see here. Let's just make this a little darker, show how it actually shows up on his chest. But you can see that there's a serif here on his S. And I'll do the same thing down here. Okay, and that's the Superman S. So as you get better at this, what you're going to find is that you can do this freehand without necessarily going through all these separate steps. So what I'll usually do, I'll still go ahead and oftentimes draw a rough estimation of the two ovals or circles, whatever shape I want, and I'll just go ahead and start drawing the S, knowing that I'm going to narrow down at the bottom right here and narrow at the top and get wider as I get to the middle. And a lot of times I'll just go ahead and just draw it freehand, because I've done this so many times that I can just go ahead and do it. And definitely you can, like I said, you can experiment and make the S in different ways, but this idea of one part of the letter having a thicker part and then joining to a thinner part applies to a lot of letters. And depending on the font, what you'll want to do is try to make them a little bit consistent as far as where you're making parts thinner or thicker, and we can get into that a little bit more later. Let's do one more S, except this time let's do circles. Again, we're overlapping circles here. And now darken it. Here I'm already starting to flatten out the curve. into the lower section here. Add the serif and then back. Flatten out here, flatten this curve right here in the middle, and start going into my upper curve and into the serif. And that's the basis of drawing an S. To me, this is just the simplest way to make it fairly accurate. So let's do one last one where we make it slanted. Again, let's draw an oval. So here's our center point, except this time we're going to shift the lower oval to the left. So let's say right there, just slightly to the left. Again, here's our reference line, top and bottom, and then we'll do the same thing. Draw our line there, and then the bottom, and again, here's our inner line, thin, slowly curving to meet the center, and draw in our serif. And again here, slowly making this section narrower to the bottom and to our serif. So now we have an S that's slightly slanted here. Here's our center point now. So what I'll go ahead and do is just shade some of these, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found something useful, and we can go over other letters in other videos. You'll find that a lot of the same principles apply for shapes that have curved areas, such as B, C, G, etc. Alright, thanks for watching, and have a great day.